I'd finally like just to show you a completed example of a skim chart. This one is actually based on a letter from Bobby Murray from Malvern, Arkansas. That is in the Scim.mov Historical Inquiry website under demonstrations. This was when the historian Tom Ewing was given this letter here, and he was asked to analyse the source using the Scim.mov protocol to answer the question, what was life like for a child during the Great Depression? There's also a multimedia version available that you can link to, and I'm just going to start talking over me in a second, so I'm going to jump back. The letter itself, quickly, we can pull that up a little bit closer for you. 7/13/39, Bobby Murray, Arkansas. We see the address, Children's Bureau, Department of Labour. I am writing you concerning the help that is given to school children who aren't able to pay all expenses of schooling. I am a boy, 15 years old, and in the 10th grade. My only near relatives are a mother and infant niece. My sister, our only support, died last December, and without some help from somewhere, I will be unable to continue in school. My mother has no regular work, as she has my late sister's baby to care for. My mother sews and manages to pay our living expenses. I am very anxious to continue in school and would pay my own expenses, but a boy under 18 can't find work in our town. Please send me the information and details as soon as possible. For proof of my school attendance, write to the superintendent's name is given. He will tell you all you need to know. Hope for a quick reply. Bobby Murray, and then his mother signed below, Mrs. Della Murray. What I then did was, in my scroll, was started to fill it out. Here, I put the source description. Bobby Murray letter, here's the date, to the Children's Bureau. I could have labelled it source A. What does the source tell us? Well, I started going around and saying, well, it's from a 15-year-old boy. Purpose to seek assistance to continue school. He's writing to the Children's Bureau, the government, Department of Labour. The author has a mother. He has an older sister who died and a niece. Mother works, but not regularly, and it's difficult to pay her living expenses. Start to go to contextualising. Well, it's 1939. I know the location, Malvern, Arkansas. We also start to get some idea that he wants financial assistance to continue schooling during this period. I think it's interesting. I know a little bit about the Depression, but 1939. So it's 10 years after the stock market crash. By 1939, it does seem that things may have been getting a little bit better, but in the broader context. But for an 18-year-old, apparently not. For Bobby, life is still not easy in the local context, Arkansas, but it doesn't appear desperate. There's no talk of starvation, no talk of loss of home, but unemployment is an issue. I put that into contextualising, though I have also made some inferences there, and it can bounce between. Here are some of my inferences. What does it suggest? I think the boy's mature for a 15-year-old. He doesn't reveal much about the family. He doesn't say much about the father. But he is contacting the government, and he's already obviously spoken to the school superintendent. I detect the family's not upper class. I think they're more lower class. I don't know where my E went there. Finances are difficult. I think this whole thing reflects a perspective and belief of the increased role of government to help, which is not common in the 1920s, so I think it can hint at this New Deal and the idea of children seeing the government as important to help them out of this situation. So it's the extended role of government. There is no mention of unemployment, but there is the notion that there's a suggestion then it may not be in the depth of the Depression, 1939. So what questions do I have? Well, how did the Depression impact his sense of responsibility? Because it does seem mature. Were a lot of children writing to the government? What happened to Bobby and his family? 1941, would he have been of draft age? I may never find this out, but these are intriguing questions for me. What happened to his father? Were conditions for his family common in that state and across the states? Was Malvern a typical southern community? Did he see education as a better way to better conditions? Were there a lot of letters like this that really talked about education being vital? And what opportunities were out there for 15-year-olds during this period? Why is so much value given to education? So there's some of my inferences, and I think some of these can actually start going to what was life like for a child in the Depression. I'd obviously need to have more kinds of sources to compile an interpretation, but Tom Ewing, when he did this, was capable of starting to generate a little bit of a interpretation which you can find on the Scim.mov website. So here's a model, quick model of how you may fill out a Scim chart.